Welcome back to the Real Estate Den. This is episode 20, season 2. Today we have Amy out of Chicagoland and Sean out of Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you. Glad to be here.
Likewise.
Awesome. Well, let's just get right into it. Let's start off with telling us a little bit about you, where you're from, your business, and kind of like what brought you into the industry and what you like about it. So we'll go ahead and start with Amy. Tell us about you and your company and all of the wonderful things you do.
Oh, great. Thank you. So I'm Amy Downing, and my company is Amy Downing Media and Marketing. And after 20 years of being a marketer and working in the corporate world, after COVID, I decided I didn't want to go back to the office. So made a pivot and discovered kind of the world of podcasting and discovered how podcasting can be a really powerful marketing tool for a business. So I kind of dabbled in that. I became a podcast manager, and I really spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, how can I really put together a simple program that somebody can use to market their business. So that's how I came up with my program that I call the Agent Audio Advantage. And it uses a private podcast, which is just a limited number of episodes and done on a private platform, not on a public platform. So it's a little bit of a twist on podcasting, and I can get into that a little bit more later on. But so something a little bit different, works a little bit better for marketing, and it doesn't require you to keep creating endless content.
Cool. I'm excited to hear about that for sure, because we just sort of jumped into this with a Zoom account, and luckily Amanda, who does, she's without Amanda and Michelle, there would be no podcast. So let me just say that very clear. I'm really good at talking, period. So great.
There's a little bit more to it than just plugging in the microphone and talking. So that's why I developed this pretty much done for you programs to make it easy for the busy real estate agent.
I love that. I'm excited to hear more, because you either need a team of people or you just need an Amy. So that sounds like that's a no-brainer right there. Sean, tell us about you and kind of your background and what got you into the industry.
Sure, I might have to bring on Amy as well. So my name is Sean Allen, originally from New Jersey. And long story short, I came to Los Angeles and was kind of homeless for about 3 weeks, started my first job. Came out here in 2011 and had some money in the bank account, but $3,000 was not enough to cover security deposit and first month's rent. Fast forward 10 years later, I told myself I would never be on the streets and without a house that I at least own. And so I started saving money and working, and bought some property in California with a business partner, as well as North Carolina, and became a licensed real estate agent in 2016, and now I'm super duper happy to be a full-time consultant where I coach not just one-on-one clients, but also I coach organizations and or nonprofits on how to use real estate and or property to further their mission or their goals, whether it's housing or event venue space or just partnering up with local nonprofits to host events. So I'm excited to be on here today. I've seen your show, and Amy, you're definitely speaking the right language because I am not great at marketing, and so it's always nice to be featured on podcasts, but also to learn kind of a different avenue of how to get the word out there on how we can make a bigger impact.
I love it. Amy, so you have a COVID business, which I love to talk about that, because like I have a COVID business. I thought I was trying to figure things out, and then COVID happened. Like, I started my brokerage like September 2019. And then real estate, moves a little slow. But tell us sort of like why did you choose to do marketing specific to podcasts? Did you bring anything from your previous, did you have podcast experience before when you were marketing?
No, I really didn't. I really discovered podcasting during COVID. I'd go on long walks just to get out of the house and started listening to podcasts and just really fell in love with being able to. And I just kept feeling like this could be a really good marketing tool. And like I said, at first I became a podcast manager where I would just, I learned how to edit, and I would write show notes and just kind of manage that process for people who had a regular podcast. And then just within the last year is when I developed my private podcast program to really just wanted to make a simple marketing system for the person who wants to have a podcast for their business, but is just too busy to keep up with it. It's a tool that you do have to keep promoting and using, but you don't have to keep creating content for it.
That's great. Can you tell us like a little bit about give us a little like pitch, I guess.
So I mean, the basic overview of it is you use the private podcast as a way to get some educational content out there, and then you collect email addresses to give people access to it. So then you have some contact information. And by listening to your podcasts, the person gets educated on whatever your niche topic is, and hopefully starts to build a connection just from hearing your voice in their ear and learning from you. And the idea is that they would reach out to you, with any questions that they have or to connect further. You have their email address. So part of my program is that I set up an email system with an email automated sequence to get that going. That's part of the whole system. So you
Great.
get that as part of the package. Emails written for you, email, all the tech set up if you don't already have your own email system, which a lot of agents don't.
Nice. Wow, that's great. And I think just it's COVID really shifted everybody where we sort of like realized how doable everything is. Like you can find someone to help you, and like so if someone's listening and they're like, "Yeah, man, I really wish I could do a podcast." Like get in contact with Amy. Like do the thing, like we have access to so many resources and people and talent. If you could go back and tell yourself something when you started, like you go back and like bestow wisdom upon yourself, what would you tell yourself then if you knew then what you know now?
Oh, gosh, I probably would have tried to launch this program a lot sooner. And I guess I picked real estate agents because I felt like they don't really have anybody teaching them about marketing. The real estate education is about the transaction, and they don't really learn how to market themselves. And really, they are entrepreneurs as well. And I think there's a lot of resources out there that they don't even realize are out there that they could be taken advantage of to make their marketing a lot easier.
Absolutely. Sean, if you could go back and tell yourself one thing, if you knew then what you know now, what would that be?
I resonate 100%. I wish I would have started sooner, right? Especially in the real estate market. It's like, you buy a property and you finally save the money, you get it, and then you wait and hopefully you get that appreciation and you're like, wow, this is not bad. It's not as bad as I thought. Now I get the real estate bug. Let's do it over and over. Well, I wish I would have started earlier. So that's really key is the barriers to entry when it comes to business or especially buying property or launching your own real estate business or whatever it may be. It just seems so daunting sometimes because often we're just resistant to change, right? Some of us are coming from corporate America experience and we're trying to do things on the side. And but once you get over that hump, I feel like for me and the folks in my network, it's like, wow, I wish we would have started sooner. So just get out there and give it a shot. And you'll probably be surprised on how you can do it again and even better and sooner.
Absolutely. What would you, because you said you're a realtor investor and you help coach as well. If you and you're in LA, which is obviously a super like really intense market. What do you like? Is it achievable for a new investor to get in started in such a kind of expensive market? Like I think, there's probably some intimidation factor. You think of LA, Chicago, like all these really big areas. Is there any advice you can give to someone who kind of wants to start out, who maybe feels like it's kind of saturated?
Excellent question. So I like to theme it around transforming your experience into success. So I'm a project manager. So when I look at things in real estate, I look at it as a project. Others that come from maybe the marketing or the advertising background might look at it as, well, I need to network and I need to, be creative, right? We've got folks out here in LA that are in the TV industry and they're producers. They want to produce the real estate experience. They want to document it. So for me, it's more about what skills, transferable skills do you have from just life or education or work that you can bring to your real estate investment? Yes, we need money to save and for down payments to get property. Yes, you got to have a good enough credit score, but that's kind of standard. But how you approach it, whether you house hack or you go flip or you start off with wholesale or folks get their license and they think that that's a good avenue to learn about it before they hop into it. Whatever the person's passion and or skills or experiences, I always recommend bring that to their individual approach to getting real estate while they're saving money, while they're networking, while they're trying to find deals that are affordable.
Great. I'm going to flip back over to Amy here and just kind of speak to what you spoke to earlier. You were saying that realtors don't have people who teach the marketing, and you're absolutely right. I it makes me laugh sometimes how people like there's nobody like there's that's why I think there's like a small percentage of agents who kind of get away with shady things, because unless you're doing like really horrible things, like there's not a lot of guidance and requirement. And I mean, it takes about 8 weeks and $2,000 to get a real estate license in Colorado. Like, and that's one of the harder states to get a license in. Is it a test? Is it like an accomplishment? Like, of course, I'm not like, devaluing that, but I really love to connect with companies that do help support agents, because you are kind of like, here you go, here's a license. Bye.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, if you're in real estate and you have a license, you understand that once you get licensed, the only person that's calling you is somebody to hopefully sell you something right away. It's not a client who calls you first. It's everybody who now has the new licensee info. And it's probably Keller Williams. Just kidding. No hate to Keller Williams. So tell me a little bit about why you like real estate agents. Cause I feel like a lot of times people like, I mean, other than the need there, like what do you like, cause we are a different breed. We're not like anybody else.
Yes. Well, you know what, a couple reasons. One, I guess personally, I have always had a really good experience with the real estate agents that I had dealt with. So I didn't even know that they kind of get a bad rap sometimes until I started working in this market a little bit further. And so I think that's a little undeserved, because like I wouldn't have gotten my first house if it wasn't for a fantastic real estate agent, and I still think fondly of her. So that was partly why. And then partly I had a local connection with a local office that was putting together a podcast studio for their agents to use. And they asked me to come over there and speak to them about podcasting. And so that was kind of my first introduction is into podcasting and realtors going together, or how that might work together. And kind of what I came away with a lot of them were, they were interested in it, but they were overwhelmed by the tech and the amount of work it was. And I saw several of them start on their own and then kind of fade out and not be able to keep it up. And I really wanted to develop something that would turn into an asset for them that they can just keep using over and over, something that's simple and where I would do most of the heavy lifting. So that too was in the back of my mind when I developed my program.
And I love that. And I hope that everybody who's listening who wants to do a podcast will get in touch, because if you want to start a podcast, I try to come from the mindset of not competition and more collaboration. So if everybody's out there putting their opinion, like that's only more information, right? Like if we've got a bunch of, professionals bringing their expert opinions and masterminding, and we know it says in Think and Grow Rich and all the other classics, once we all start talking and connecting, it's another level. We're all learning and collaborating more. So that's great that you can do that. You've been able to do that, and we love industry people who love on us, so that's good to know. Sean, tell us a little bit. You had said that you've done real estate, you're doing investing, and now you're doing coaching. Tell us a little bit about your coaching program, and maybe drop a little of that coaching knowledge upon us. What would you, if you had to just have a super intense couple of sentences, what would that be?
I love that. I actually want to piggyback on what Amy said. Is I got my license through Keller Williams. Shout out Keller Williams. Thank you, Megan. Still with Keller Williams, Beverly Hills, the penthouse, 90120, just like the show.
Nice.
And Amy, you were right on it. When we talk about lead generation and SEO marketing, as soon as I got the license, it was like, sign up for this CEO, sign up for this social media company, this paid advertising, Google ads, Facebook ads, Zillow, everything. It was just a huge amount of information coming in, and it's hard to figure out who to approach. So I like that you have more of a personalized and customized approach. I know for me, I've tried different options, and majority of them was kind of like I spent the money, didn't get the return. But the ones that were more customized and personalized, it really worked out from the realtor perspective, but more on the coaching side. Um, for me, it's exciting because I coach both people as well as organizations. So I'm going to do a little bit of a creative approach. I'm going to talk more about organizations. I'm working with nonprofits that have, call it mixed use properties, where there may be a residential unit upstairs and downstairs may just be an open room and a kitchen. And so for those that might be, part of local chapters of nonprofit organizations, or they do leadership or mentorship or academies, camps, daycares, things of that nature, I'm happy to be able to use the real estate knowledge to help coach them on, well, hey, if you have a smart renovation budget, you can turn this downstairs meet space, and let the community residents, community organizations use it for free. Or you can host, post-COVID times, there were not a lot of restaurants that would take a party of 20 or 30 folks, right? And so if you have the space that you can use as a venue space or a community hall, I've been really excited since 2021 to kind of coach folks on how do you use real estate to make a positive impact to your community, or for venue rental space, or to house folks. And so that's really what I'm excited about coaching, some clients that have that type of network. The one-on-one coaching is wonderful as well. I always say, to answer your question pointed, as a real estate agent, we typically don't have the time, and or we may not have the passion to really coach you through all the different strategies, right? We're hired to help you get that transaction complete, help you find that home. So as a real estate coach, I do everything else. What's your vision, mission? What's the goals to get you to the strategy that you're interested in? How do we help you execute that strategy, even if I'm not your realtor? And then once you close on your home, now what, right? And so that's the impact that I try to make if it's on a one-on-one level.
Great.
I love that idea of having the space for the nonprofits to use. I have worked in the nonprofit industry as well, and I know that's a real need, having spaces like that. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and it definitely hits a little bit differently too, because when you find that, often one of the venues we worked with, they were a nonprofit, they were underperforming, they were negative $20,000 in property taxes, and so we came in and we helped, revitalize their board. So there's a little bit of nonprofit management experience there, but they didn't know anything about really like real estate, like how do I do leases, how do I do contracts, right? And so coming in and helping them with that, turn it around. The next year they hosted 66 events, of which about 80% of them were paid events. And then the other 20% was with the local neighborhood council, letting them use the space so we can talk about speed humps and roads and lights and things of that nature. So you really can make a unique impact with the real estate, and helping folks understand that once you have property, how do you use that property can be really, really multi-use. So just want to touch on that too.
That's I mean, it's amazing. I love real estate because of just the sheer vastness of the opportunity and the ability to just use it for so many situations and things. Who do you partner with? So talk to me, because you said I'm more of a project manager, and obviously, like, and this is my managing broker hat, of course, you can't advise on everything. So who are your like most utilized partners, I guess? Are you working with a lot of attorneys? Are you working with, like who's your team when you're doing one of these sort of deals?
I love it. I have a team of about four. So I have a real estate agents as part of the team as well, because I'm not typically their traditional full-time agent. And so being that I coach clients throughout the country, I have an agent in, all of us have an agent everywhere, of course. But especially for the areas that I focus on, North Carolina, have an agent out there. I'm also getting into international property, purchasing a property in Portugal right now, and so I have an agent out there. Secondly, which is really most important, is like the inspection side, right? I may be an engineer by degree, Megan, but I'll tell you, I haven't done a single thing of civil engineering since 2010. Okay, so I have an inspector. Inspector team is really, really important. Anytime you're going to buy a property, be it multifamily, single family, or whatever, even commercial, you're going to need inspector, right? So that's the second one that's really important. And then three, contractor. I always have a handy man or handy woman, and or a contractor, general contractor, plumbers. Always have a team, because there will be some issues that will happen just when you have a home. The water heater is going to probably malfunction when you're about to go on your vacation, and you just have to have that team. So those are the top three. As far as like the contracts and things of that nature, often the forms are out there, and there's companies like LegalZoom, which I've used often, that can help you draft a business plan, help you draft leases, different things of that nature. So I actually go through LegalZoom for a lot of the documentation side if I'm not the realtor on record, because I cannot provide, certain documents from the state unless I'm the realtor on record. But LegalZoom has a lot of information, and there's other apps like Zillow that will help you with rental applications and screening. So I would say those are the kind of the top 5 resources that I utilize for all.
Amy, do you have any specific thing that you do in the morning? Tell us a little bit about your morning and your morning routine.
Yeah, I love to get my workout and my walk in the morning. So I get up and I try to get outside as quickly as I can, for even if it's just a quick walk around the block, and then do my little weight training workout, and then sit down and have my coffee and do Wordle, and try not to pick up the phone until I come back in the house and I'm done with all of that. So
Nice. A movement, a little coffee, a little me
mhm,
time in the morning.
yeah.
Sounds luxurious. Sean, do you have any specific morning rituals?
Wow, Megan, where did you find Amy at? The difference between me and Amy is Amy says she's gonna do it and she actually does it. For me, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I look at my calendar and I look at my goals for the day. And yes, exercise and fitness is usually at the top of that list. But Amy, for me, it doesn't get done in the morning. I'm sorry. It gets fit in sometime throughout the day.
So
For
that's
me,
the most important thing.
yeah,
As
I
long as you're getting it in there.
Yeah, so I got a lot to learn from you. But for me, I calendar everything and I goal set daily, weekly, and monthly, and I try to benchmark to see what I did not complete the previous day or week. So every morning, that's the first thing. I don't do the social media first in the morning, the news first in the morning. I don't think for me, it's not beneficial to focus on other folks' lives first. The first thing is what's most important to me, and that's the first thing I do.
I love that. And those are just, and so those sort of change every day based on where you're at in your goals, because you have your goal process that you look at in the morning.
Correct, correct. And it's all electronic. So it's on a Google Calendar where I can set events. You can also set tasks through Google Calendar and you can mark them complete when they're done. And so I have a running task list of, 5 to 10 items that, get complete, but I review those each morning. And sometimes things take longer, right? Sometimes
Right.
things are knocked out in 5 or 10 minutes.
I'm looking at all of my handwritten notes all over my desk and my complete utter lack of keeping everything in technology. Like, hey, that's great. Well, if our listeners want to continue the conversation with you, where can they find you, Amy?
My website, I have 2 websites. Podcastingforrealtors.com is just a real easy landing page where you can go learn a little bit more about my program. And then my business is amydowningmedia.com. I'm also active on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Great, great. And we'll have all of these linked in the show notes as well. Sean, where can our listeners find you if they want to continue the conversation or get some real estate coaching? And then correct me, you do the coaching nationwide, right? That's not just only in LA.
Correct, nationwide, and hopefully by September we'll be internationally wide, which is not really a word, but once we get in Portugal, then we'll be international. So yeah, so my name is Sean, Sean, last name Allen, Allen. I go by Sean, the Real Goal Setter, if you want to find me on TikTok. Also, you can go the old-fashioned route with my website, which is therealgoalsetter.com. Also, when I consult through businesses, I consult through Das Estates LLC, which is DAS, like Das Auto. Remember the commercial? So
Mhm.
Das Estates LLC.com. You can send me an email there as well, Das Estates LLC at gmail.com. And let me drop my cell phone number, 732-778-8080. I know it sounds like a fake number, but I promise it will go to me and I will pick up. So 732-778-8080, Sean Allen. And thank you so much, Megan. Amy, it's a pleasure podcasting with you today as well.
Yeah, it's great to meet you.
Thank you guys. And we will see you guys next time for the Real Estate Den. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And
Thank
I'm
you
not
guys.
awesome.